The illusion of free will in relationships. It's interesting to observe how, when we enter into a relationship with anyone, whatever kind of relationship it may be, just how much we operate surrendering free will to certain subconscious beliefs which play out as our relationship experiences. These could be what we consider desirable or undesirable. Now, bringing awareness to where this happens helps us reorient to how we would like it to be, rather than what was once subconsciously identified with, which we could call undesirable. Others show up to mirror our beliefs in how our relationships play out. At times, it could appear as them doing the same thing, or at times, it could appear as a supporting role to the same thing, where one seems to act as an instigator. Until we reveal and release identification to those beliefs, we could see them playing out again and again in some shape or form in that relationship or in other relationships. However, once the identification to that belief has been brought to awareness and released, the relationship changes in a way that yet again mirrors how you believe relationships to be, only this time in an ideal way to that regard, if that's how you'd like it to be. So essentially, we want to surrender to our ideal and operate from our ideal. This then expresses out as ideal relationships. I'd recommend remaining aware and practicing this, what we discuss here today, wherever you go. And so we want to not allow ourselves to be at the whim of past undesirable beliefs, which may reveal themselves as the experiences in relationships once surrendered free will to, in relation with the other person. For example, let's say a person likes to be a certain way. Perhaps they are authentically outgoing. However, their partner seems to suggest not to be that way. And so they stop being that way to please their partner, while all the time they suppress who they truly desire to be. It appears on the surface that one is being controlled and that the other is being controlling. Upon deeper introspection, we see both playing out the same belief. Free will was surrendered to the belief. And I'm speaking here from my past experience. When I track back to the cause within, it was a lack of self-acceptance belief that was playing out, not allowing myself to be how I really wanted to be. And so they were reflecting my belief. So one may subconsciously believe they can't be how they truly desire to be, and it plays out as someone else telling them how to be. And this is one example of what it could be. It could be different belief causes. We all have the ability to go within and find the causative belief. And so no shame and condemnation. We are now aware that this is how we surrender free will, via certain beliefs in mind. And we want to look at it like this. Beliefs play out to reveal where we have given free will to, so we can bring awareness to what is going on within ourselves, beyond the outer world theater of the relationships, to see where the strings are being pulled and track it back to the cause within, which is the belief. And if you'd really like to split hairs here, it is the identification to that belief that is the cause. Beliefs have no power on their own unless we give them power by identifying with them. Beliefs are like clothes. You can change them whenever you'd like. So we reveal and release the identification to the belief if it is undesirable, and then the relationship changes to reflect in a more ideal way. I know this because I was doing this all throughout the years in my different relationships, and it has never been known to fail. All these different undesirable beliefs, I just kept releasing identification to them, and I change. They change, and how we relate change to something more ideal. So to exemplify, let's examine a belief, which is the need to control, not allowing ourselves to be. It had nothing to do with them, I found. It was what I was identifying with inside, not allowing myself to be how I desire to be. And so now we have awareness. We can see where we have surrendered free will to certain subconscious beliefs as they are about to play out as the experience. And remember, this is true for what we could say is ideal or not ideal when it comes to subconscious beliefs. You see, 95% or more of how we operate from, whether we have conscious awareness of them or not, is based on our subconscious beliefs held in our subconscious mind. Who we are attracted to, how we are when we're dating, what we are like when we enter into relationships with them, how we are in the long term with them, and with so many experiences that happen during the course, we can reveal where free will has been surrendered. As relationships are a big psychological play, revealed in how we relate, and again, most of it is subconscious. That is, until we bring conscious awareness to the subconscious beliefs. And from there, if they're undesirable, we can release them. Now, just as we have surrendered free will over to those beliefs, we can also consciously choose what we want to believe, which then plays out to how you'd like it to be. Now, before we go any further, let's look at a definition of free will. Free will is the power or capacity of humans to make decisions or perform actions independently of any prior event or state. So this part here, state. You have free will at any moment to be aware of and enter into any belief or state in which then everything happens automatically from there. And what we want is to allow ourselves to enter into, remain, and operate automatically from an ideal state in which then all our relationships show up accordingly. Now, one of the ways that I found very helpful to do this is two parts. Number one, acknowledge that you already are your ideal now. As Neville Goddard once said, go to the end. Accept it even if it may not seem to appear that way. You are complete inside. You have everything inside. You are perfect the way you are now and remain in that state. If anything shows up that seems to throw you off from this truth, as you continue to operate from a position of heightened awareness, you are able to observe if these beliefs are about to play out and not identify with them any longer. And then they will be allowed to release. This will also facilitate the subconscious mind changes, so your ideal state will become your ideal concept of self. So our goal here is to accept how we imagine ourselves to be and let the invisible power, the power of your subconscious mind, carry out instructions, and from there, everything happens naturally, automatically, and ideally to reflect how you'd like your relationships to be. So this is about letting go of beliefs no longer in harmony with how you would like your relationships to be. You release them because you have already accepted that you are your ideal now. And so thus the identification of undesirable beliefs, if they show up, are being shed. We simply allow them to be released. And so we can have a lot of fun with this. When you meet others, go on dates, enter into relationships, within all kinds of relationships, acknowledge that the other person may be mirroring what beliefs you had once surrendered free will to. You'll know as you observe yourself relating with them. If undesirable, prior to the belief playing out, right when you notice you are about to react, release identification to that belief in the moment through the following, which is a mindfulness practice that we could do real time during the experience. First is awareness. Observe any thoughts or emotions that arise in mind and body without judgment or analysis. I like to remain like this all throughout the day. This is not overthinking. This is awareness. You get better at it with practice, and to facilitate, I recommend incorporating meditation and flow state as part of your daily life, as it helps tremendously, and this will become a habit. Now, during the experience, when relating with others, as the past belief shows up where free will is being surrendered, any related thoughts and emotions that arise from the undesirable belief, without trying to resist them. Then comes the releasing of identification to the belief. Allow the thoughts and emotions to pass without trying to hold on to them or identifying with them. Then you'll find yourself centered again, as James Allen once said in his book, The Heavenly Life. He said, "The secret of life, of abundant life with its strength, its felicity, and its unbroken peace, is to find the divine center within oneself and to live in and from that, instead of in that outer circumference of disturbances." So the divine center, which is formless awareness, is where we return to while in the experience if we become aware of an undesirable belief showing up. And when we observe without reacting, we return to the divine center. And from there, the changes from how you are ideally happens automatically, like magic, which may include you changing, them changing, the relationship changing, new ideas, insights, perspectives, as the release of the belief no longer true of how you are ideally happens. It's amazing how much wisdom surfaces when we release the beliefs no longer in harmony with how we desire to be, which again can be done through this process here. You can then take notes of those insights and turn them into autosuggestions, which further encourage those attributes of how you are ideally to be incorporated into a healthy self-image, which automatically, again, plays out as ideal relationships. So this process is extremely simple, yet very powerful. This is what I've been doing for many years, and it has never been known to fail. And I trust you as well will benefit greatly from applying it. I learned it many years ago in part 4 of the Master Key System by Charles Haanel, where he introduced me to the idea to remove all tension by completely relaxing and then mentally letting go of all adverse conditions such as hatred, anger, worry, jealousy, envy, sorrow, trouble, or disappointment of any kind. Not only was this a great exercise in the book, it also releases identification to beliefs no longer in harmony with how you desire your relationships to be ideally. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You can say, acceptance at the end wills the means some way, somehow. I am aware of the different areas of my life and how I relate inside, tracking back to the cause to accept all that is ideal in relationships as far as my senses perceive. I'm able to read between the lines and track back to the source within, as from my self-acceptance, everything happens automatically and ideally to reflect how I desire to be, as mutually harmonious relationships with all, as I remain conscious of being ideal now. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.